What I'm about to show you now is not really a trick, but a bit of a lesson from my childhood. And in fact, not only is it a bit of a lesson, it doesn't in fact involve a whole deck of cards, nor even a great variety of cards. It just really involves a couple of queens. You see, when I was young, I basically thought mistakenly that women were like these queens I've got here, all the same. Okay, and you're probably wondering sort of how I came to that conclusion. How I came to that conclusion was basically, when I was at school, I'd go up to a girl and I'd ask her if she wanted to watch the latest episode of Star Trek I taped, and believe it or not, she turned me down flat. Okay. Not only that, when I went and asked the very same question to her friend also turned me down flat. And it actually wasn't long before pretty much every girl I asked gave me the same response. But as things are at school, after a couple of weeks, things sort of blow over, and before you know it, one girl was talking to me, and then another would be talking to me, and pretty much before you know it, things are back to the way they were. So I'd gather up a bit more courage, and I'd ask the next girl, I'd ask if she wanted to come round and have a bit of a Tetris competition, and believe it or not, bang, turned down flat again. So I asked the next girl I came across, you want to come round and watch me destroy you in a game of Tetris? And of course, turned me down flat. And basically, believe it or not, every girl I asked gave me the same response again. But again, as we all know at school, after a while, I'd get a hello from a girl, hello from another girl, and pretty soon everything was, back to the way it was. As I got a bit wiser in the way of women, basically my strike rate improved pretty well. I'd go up to a bunch of girls, and pretty much out of them, most of them would actually be quite receptive. Occasionally, of course, you get the one that would turn you down, and after a while, basically, I was working at 100% ratio. Actually, only joking, I made that last bit up. I still struggle as much as girls as I always have. But one thing I've learned over my years of dealing with the opposite and the fairer sex is that wherever you find basically a group of women, you'll always find a few jokers thrown in there. Less likely, though, is when you find a few jokers, every now and then you'll actually find a woman trying to get away from them. But perhaps the most important lesson I've learned is this. To assume that all women are the same is a big mistake.